Alright, so I've played a game a while ago called Fog Knows Your Name. It's another text-based game from Choice of Games. I think it was a pretty clumsy and it didn't have enough options and was a bit of a mess. Definite recommendation. Ah, fooled you, I liked it. So, what is it about? A mysterious island populated by rural US folk is seemingly beset by a whole slew of issues, all of them originating in the fog. One day it took the life of a man in his prime, a former best friend of a player character. Of course the player got blamed, so he moved. But now he's back, to find the solution to the mysteries, to reconnect with the former friends, to know more about the fog. Or just prove that it's all nonsense and live in a blaze of glory. Alright, so I like the idea of pretty much... I like the idea of having pretty much a high school RPG. The inner outcast nerd in my soul screams go away, but I'm still curious where it would lead. And curiosity is definitely winning. Thing is, however, the fact that the options are clearly written by a social butterfly, who most likely was popular, or at least wasn't me, then in high school, is a bit of a detriment. Because of that, there are options offered which make no sense at all to me, and then something which only partially works. Like, I cared so much about what my friends thought, I am needy and need affirmation. Then option 2, I wanted to show off to my friends and act like a dick, to show I'm cool. Or, I lied and acted nice and overly excited because I wanted to make sure my friends don't think I'm a dick, but I actually am one. Or, be overtly nice, sincere, because I value everyone's opinion of me so much. Those were the 4 options. I mean, I can kinda see someone thinking like that, but good god, that can be further from what I would want. I wanted an option which went, say hey and move on. You don't really care what we found and have a friend while you were gone. Instead of this sucking up to everyone. Still, it plays into this mentality and makes the player experience this from the point of view from one of the most social people. Which like I have already made it obvious, I was not that. This particular idea of kids experiencing the world and figuring out the mystical stuff out there with possible real-world explanation is actually kinda cool. And I know it was a lot more popular back in the day, like 80s or 90s or something. The gang gets together, where was I? To tell spooky stories across a campfire, and going on a trip to the abandoned house to discover something. Just, the stories like that have a potential to be pretty much anything and lead to anything. And I've realized that I missed that stuff a lot. You've got the school drama mixed in with that stuff as well. And at one point there's a teacher who, as it turns out, is hooked on the mystery stuff and might know a lot more than might first appear. So I guess I was excited because the entire thing led to, well, I have no idea where it was going. Because like I have said, it could be anything. It could have just been drug dealers, it could have been a serial killer, it could have actually been some mystical creature, or it could have been all of those combined. And at no point I was 100% sure which was it. If I were to digest the more specific elements of a story, I would comment first and foremost on the relationship with the group. Okay, so it's quite a few people from the get-go. Reminds me of Danganronpa, but obviously way fewer people. Still, I struggle to keep up, but that's just me. Anyway, I think everyone hanging out together at all times was a cool thing. I never experienced that, so I was a little jealous of the protagonist. As far how well it was done, I think it was done a little... It was a little too difficult to piss people off. I wanted a bit more drama with the other people. It seemed like everyone was kinda nice to each other, and I know people in school frequently hung out with others not because they like each other, but because they had a cool game console or they had their parents out at all times and they could just run wild. Here though, everyone got along too well. More drama would add more realism, and if somehow I was enough of myself, seeing them all drift apart would have been cool to see. And you've got the relationship with the town. As the player arrives, everyone seems to know who he is, everyone is blaming him, everyone is negative. Of course, except for his friends. But as the time goes on, this point pretty much just gets brushed over and forgotten. Like the town is gone and it's just us kids against whatever weirdness out there. Town is just a thing in the background, and speaking of the parents, and specifically the protagonist's mom, she had like 5 lines maybe. I wanted way more of this. There was basically no interacting with adults. At one point there's a questioning of one of them, and now one comes and stirs trouble, but it all quickly fades. There's really very little going on in this town. Nowhere near enough. Then the activities which don't involve the mystery is another point. So at one point player is given a choice. Take a break, and so the choice is to spend the day with 2 people out of however many there are. What I picked was hanging out with a Russian guy and the photo girl. Don't ask me for names, I do better with descriptions, I just forget names immediately. So, as it is revealed, there's a bit of a touching story unveiled, showing what the boy lost his mother. She used to cook a special dinner for his dad, and he made one for her whenever they had birthdays. Now, he took up her mantle, the kid, and tried to cook, but he's bad at it. And it is shown that in this mystical island, he tried to use a special way to communicate with the dead. Because, fog, mysterious, maybe there's some sort of special connection to the dead he could have. Just to have a talk with his mom. It's all very touching and nice, and you have a little funny moment with his dad being embarrassing, but it's all cool. But it basically comes and goes. I love this story, and it just appears for a moment, it's gone the next. I would have wanted to know to hang out with these people longer, to just be there. And not 24/7 mystery solving and how may I direct a call? No, not enough. There's just not enough water to water it all down. A longer story to know people better is what I wanted here. And the relationship with Rex, the best friend, the dead guy, the victim, the person protagonist kills, or quote-unquote kills. So there are choices as to how to approach a relationship with this person. Could be a dick, could be, oh boy, I sure have a crush on this fine fellow, or could be, yeah, we used to be pals, but now he sucks, and it's all or nothing for a person who you know nothing about. So the player is presented with the choices to choose how to approach a person who the protagonist knows very well, but the player doesn't know at all. It's just extremely disconnecting. I just think it made little sense for him to act like that to the guy who pretty much wanted to ignore his existence. Why did he keep calling the protagonist? Well, obviously because the story is written like that, but the way I played it, other people would make a lot more sense. Why wouldn't he approach his girlfriend, for example? How about new friends? Somebody who he's still connected with instead of that guy who, well, he completely burned bridges with. Anyone at all. It's just sloppy. So, now about more spooky stuff. The Mist itself as an antagonist is a cool thing. I love the idea of just having an entity out there, hurting people and not really being out there to butcher everyone, and instead acting like this kind of natural force. Like a natural disaster. You can't expect a tsunami not to hurt people, it just does what it does, it's not a choice. That was really cool, and it turned into an actual person. It's not a human anymore, of course, but it has a self and it has a will. And it has something it wants to be doing, which I think took away from it. Instead of being so mysterious, it's just someone being evil. Nah. And the people in the Mist. Majority seems to be absorbed, but Wyatt and Rex are not. Yeah, spoilers I should have said. They aren't taken. They are spooky ghosts. Ooh, boo. Yeah, I think it was pretty cool to have Rex be stuck there, terrified, unable to do anything in this weird other world, constantly on the run. That's pretty much a horror movie right there. But Wyatt, possessing X, I won't say who because it's obvious, but still, I'd like to keep some mystery there. That was a weak story point for me. Also, why is he such a dick? I just wanted to know more about him to form an opinion, and instead he pretty much cackles and threatens everyone, taunting people with how evil he is. That's just so boring. Seriously, character of Wyatt is just complete waste. And the important part is the reaction to the Mist stuff. How people understand and explain the situation. What I loved was seeing the skeptic on the team. Some people were on the fence, some people in town refused to accept it, and some people are open to the idea of that mystical stuff actually being a thing. It's great to get everyone's different perspective, but then crazy stuff happens and it's undeniable. Oh boy, did I love to hear what Skeptic had to say. And she had nothing. Oh, that was just delicious. And then crazier stuff happened. Abby pretty much just went silent in the second part of the game. always pitching in and speaking her mind, how everyone out there is crazy. But once she sees that it's the truth, boy was it great to just see her shut up. Because that's believable. Because everyone in the story except Wyatt is written in a believable way. I didn't dislike her or anything, but it adds this gravity to the situation. Oh, that's totally fake, guys. You guys are dumb. And then turns into, they should take a break, guys. Please? Making it all seem so much more enjoyable. Anyway, I can't think of any more points to talk about, so as you can probably tell, this was a lot of complaints, but do not get me wrong, I very much enjoyed it. It was not at all what I expected, and I've got so much more than I would have hoped for. The only real sticking point which definitely ruined my enjoyment somewhat was the ending. I will spoil it again and say the whole thing. I bargained with the mist creature, then it said what I've got nothing that it could just take, so I offered myself, to possess, to stop it from killing people. At which point it ends. No explanation what happened to Rex after, no explanation what happened to Wyatt. What about literally everyone else really? Not a single word. I came here for the people's story, and I got the end. Bitch, please, what happened then? Don't leave me hanging like that, this isn't the way. Whatever. It was still a wild ride, and even if it ended about as gracefully as a 150km/h truck running into a brick wall, I very much still enjoyed it, despite all the flaws.